morning, brave bug divers of the Eastern Front. That song hardly needs any introduction, as you hear it every time that you call for the Pelican. That's your extraction theme, and it never fails to give me goosebumps. Picture it. Estanu, 2185. Boats are swarming, breaches are pluming, the rookies are terrified, wondering why that big one over there has 3 tongues, and one of them still needs to change her armor from their first time seeing a Bile Titan. But then, this song plays over their helmets. They rally, fight for their lives, and literally dive onto the Pelican's personnel bay at the last possible second, just as the extraction site is overrun. I'll tell you what, I don't know what kind of person flies these birds, but they have to be crazy to do this kind of job. The top news of the day is... holy mackerel! The patch that got reeled out today is very impressive. Now, it's entirely too long to list the deets in broadcast form, especially since my listeners on WFAR probably want to hear some music today with their news, so I will do my best to shorthand this. Light armor-penetrating weapons now deal a higher percentage of their total damage against durable enemies, giving them a different performance versus medium-pen weapons. That's a big one. People generally disliked light penetration weapons, and it was previously seen as nothing more than a self-imposed disadvantage. But now, light pen weapons are better at killing durable enemies, and medium pen weapons are better at killing armored enemies. Nice innovation, Arrowhead. People are really gonna like that one. Next, a medley of buffs and boosts to primary weapons, especially those in the assault rifle family. The Knight in particular got turned into a democratic beast from the depths of hell that shreds through aliens like nobody's business. Speaking a moment on that, SMGs and pistols have been altered to deal greater damage at close range, with larger damage fall off at longer ranges, reinforcing their CQC identity. I personally really like that. I am personally really looking forward to taking the Knight on my next squid hunt. I could just see feathering this thing's trigger and laying waste to entire residential blocks of voteless. Oh, I am happy. Secondaries were buffed as well, with damage boosts across the board with a particular focus on melee. Now, I generally dislike melee. Most aliens are bigger than a human being, and Terminids are especially good at turning them into bags of shredded cheese. So, while my listeners on the 104th might appreciate this, I'll be sitting on the back lines plucking away at the craniums of hostiles where it's safe. Some throwables got a buff as well, particularly the TED-63, that being the timed explosive device, or the big old bundle of dynamite from the Borderline Justice War Bond. Its damage got bumped up to a whopping 1,000. Packs heavy armor penetration with greater demolition strength and stagger, but its uses went from 4 to 3. Yeah, well, such is the trade-off for incredible power. But G7 Pineapple got a hefty damage buff with shrapnel aplenty, so that might actually be worth taking on missions now. Seeker grenades will emphasize flying enemies if you leave them alone, but will still hit your ping target before anything else. My beloved throwing knife's got a damage buff all around. We've got more frag grenades to use in a mission. Nobody uses smoke grenades, so who cares? And now we move on to support weapons. But Epoch got some lovely tweaks with a slight increase in charge time before it goes boom in your hands, going from 3 seconds to 3.25 seconds, and there has been an adjustment made to the projectile's charged effect so you have a visual indicator of when it's fully cooked and ready to get flung at some fugly dude's face. Damage was increased from 400 to 500, and this thing has the demolition force required to destroy bugholes and automaton fabricators if I am reading the wiki correctly. Now, let's see here, what else? Stalwart damage buff, flamethrower ammo buff, in-time eternal rifle got both damage and ammo buff, autocannon buffs busting it down democratic style in this club, de-escalator damage buff, enemies will no longer attack the solo silo, orbital rail cannon strikes cooldown decreased to 180 seconds from 210, nice. Oh! Patriot exosuits now pack 1,350 rounds for the rotary cannon over the previous 1,000. That is a 35% increase. I am especially fond of these. Thank you, Arrowhead. I will be placing an order to refill the Bringer of Mercy's vehicle base shortly. significantly. Some changes have also been made to enemies. Advancements in the destruction of necrotic flesh have reduced the overall health of the flesh mob from 6,000 to 5,000. Its faces are now considered weak points, but they are slightly less vulnerable to fire now. Time to kill ship mostly remained about the same for pyro weapons. Elevator overseers saw a decrease to their overall health and armor, with a weaker helmet as compared to their ground-based counterparts. You should be able to pop their noggins with light pen weaponry easy. Leviathans are now equipped with beam weaponry and will not be showing up in missions outside of megacities. This should provide more of a cat's cradle laser effect when attacking or patrolling megacities, which is more of a spectacle, and give more of an indication of the Leviathan's location when it's trying to fry you like an egg. For flying evil space whales, they hide surprisingly well. The Rupture Strain has been entirely retuned, with warriors now packing light armor, slower movement speed underground, a wider window between unburrowing and attacking, and now it needs to resurface every so often instead of staying underground forever until it chooses to attack. The Spewer has a wider window of unburrowing and attacking as well. It has a bigger mouth weak point, so you can shoot its mouth off. Or cram one of those buff TED-63 units in there. Now that's what I call a TED Talk. Dragon roaches spawn less often and will crash to the ground lethally if their wings are destroyed. Wings which are now vulnerable to explosions. Oh, heck yeah. Try this technique, Helldivers. Cook a TED-63 in your hand and throw it at a dragon roach so that it blows its wings off. I'm certain that'll be hilarious. Lastly, we come to the automatons, who now require visual confirmation of Helldiver presence before calling in a POC drop. We can thank my robotic bestie Mercy in his work with the Democratic Automaton Organization, the Forged Alliance, for that new, quote-quote, security measure.
Just doing the best I can with what I got.
Command bunker turrets will no longer ragdoll you, but that might not be as much of a blessing as you think. They're still very accurate and will still kill you, champ, so you might not get knocked to the ground. They'll just reduce you to a pair of smoking boots. Remember, kids, death is the ultimate debuff. You can't have a status effect if you don't have a pulse. Factory Striders are slightly less vulnerable to fire for my towering Inferno achievement hunters in the audience, and War Striders saw an especially large change with fewer grenades in their salvos, shooting grenade salvos less often, a removal of the ragdolling effect from its fusion lasers, and its eyes and vents on the back are now considered weak points. That being the eyes on the front, they do not in fact have eyes on the back of their heads. In my humble opinion, the balancing for this thing, perfect now. It's perfect down to the last minute detail. But these things still represent a pretty large seizure risk, so for the health of your fellow Helldivers, please kill them quickly. We don't need to be burying any more capes on the wrong side of the monitor. After that, there is a medley of bug fixes. Over 200, far too many to list here in any reasonable time frame. For the full patch note document, please report to the official Helldivers 2 Discord, and for those watching on YouTube, leave a comment below on your findings. Is performance better? Are we happy? Commissar Kai, are you able to record again? Fancy, is the performance good enough for you to actually play the game? Now to bring you up to speed on galactic sphere movements while I've been off playing Cyberpunk 2077. Rest well, Jackie. You were goated. A true friend. And we'll see you in the big leagues. With respects paid, the Chat Brigade was utterly smoked in a single day on Lasaf, further reinforcing their position as the biggest soulless robotic joke in the galactic sphere right up there next to Electronic Arts. Yeah, after what they did to Mass Effect, I have no mercy plan for them. The previous major order was completed to High Command satisfaction, which brings us up to our current one, where we can test our new augmented equipment. Helldivers are tasked with the liberation of Errant Prime and Estanu, rescuing Fenmire from its completely encircled position, and paving the way for a second, probably doomed assault upon Oshaune. Now, I would normally say that I read that without compare, and that Helldivers do not do well when cut off from the sky, but I actually do have some ideas on how to handle underground Terminid nests. Those buff Patriot mechs are a surprise tool that is going to help us later. Errant Prime has already been cleansed, with Estanu coming along nicely, if it hasn't been polished off already, 2 whole days ahead of schedule. Though a first offensive on Fenmire is anticipated, so we're probably going to have to deal with that. Outpost Alpha probably looks like my cat scratching post by now. Yes, I do own cats, Princess and Luna. Luna's alright, if a little bit prissy. Princess is an absolute psychopath, and I keep trying to leave her on Terminid-infested planets, but she keeps coming back, almost like the folks don't even want her. It's very frustrating. That's been Liberty's latest with me, Pondera the Radio Angel. I was just saying to my husband last night that Arrowhead had one shot to nail Liberty Day, and boy howdy did they not disappoint. Deadline? Hit. Performance? Nailed as far as I can tell. Bugs blasted, crashes fixed, and weapons are buffed so well that we can see our helmets reflected in everything. It's gonna be a good day, Helldivers. For liberty, for freedom, for democracy, and for Super Earth.